Are we still doing the clap thing?
Yeah, that's why I said go for the queue.
Okay, fine. Three, two, one.
Hi guys, welcome back to Within 12 Walls. Before we get into today's episode, I'd really like to acknowledge all the wonderful responses we got for episode 1, and of course we got a lot of inputs as well. So thank you for that. That means a lot to us, and it's a very big motivating factor for us. Motivational factor. Sorry.
Um, yeah, it's it's really something that we did not expect to get such positive reviews, at least, because when you've really put a lot of effort, which all three of us have, we did put a lot of effort for that one single podcast. We looked into every single aspect. We did the best we could, and seeing that people actually liked it was very heartwarming. It gave a weird satisfaction of sorts.
I would say,
Yeah,
especially because it's relatable to a lot of people. Like what we talk about relates to a lot of people.
that's what a lot of the people who watched it said. It was quite relatable, and I mean, we're happy that it was, and yeah, I hope this support will continue and hopefully increase. And as of I think a few hours back when I checked the stats, we had over 150 streams, and that's a very nice thing to hear and see and all that, So thank you guys again. And yeah, I think before we get into our second segment, I'd like to talk about something. I want to share something that I read today, and I feel all of us can take away something from it. So I was reading this book called "Who Will Cry When You Die." So this is a book by Robin Sharma, and yeah, here goes. It says, "Honor your past. Every second you dwell on the past, you steal from your future. Every minute you spend focusing on your problems, you take away time from finding your solutions. It makes no sense to worry about past events or mistakes unless you want to experience them for a second time."
Okay.
Oh damn.
That's a lot of stuff to take in a very short period of time. Very, very it has it's a very sensible thing, and really shows it's really something that puts into perspective that you don't have to keep worrying about your past. It's uh, send the book to me, just Dunzo it when Dunzo comes back on. When Dunzo comes
I
back on.
mean, his book, especially, Who Will Cry When You Die, is basically about self motivation, right? How to make a image of yourself before, as you die. Like, people remember you. That's the main objective of the book, So where I mean, what is said in that book, I would say people who dwell in the past, keep on thinking about the past. More like don't move on to think about the future and think about what to do next. And when you keep dwelling about the past, you're just stuck in that moment, right? I think all
you
of
know,
us
I,
have at that point of time.
yeah, I think all of us can relate to have done this some in at least in some point of our lives. And I feel that, the more time you spend on your past, it's the longer it's holding you back from a good future, is what I feel.
Yeah, I mean exactly. So like, and it would hurt also if it's especially if it's a hurtful past. So I
No, that
mean,
actually makes sense to me at this point, because when we're moving into this topic of the dying culture of reading books, to which I'm a living testament. Not gonna worry about the past because I just abruptly stopped reading for God knows why. So I think I'll just look into the future, ignore that I stopped reading books, and maybe pick a book up sooner or later.
Okay, Bala, do you actually think that the culture of reading books is dead?
Oh yes, I mean I would say dying. It's on the decline, mainly because what very simple thing is it's just the act of picking up a book and reading seems like too much effort a lot of times, when you can just lie down, maybe listen to music, watch something on YouTube. uh, it's it's very very much related to how easy it is to do a lot more things. That is why I'd say it's a culture that's actually dying, which is.
Are you speaking for yourself when you say that it's easier to pick up your phone and listen to music, or do you think that is what is happening with everybody?
I think it would apply to a lot more people. Like, okay, I think we can even like move it up, move it a little further away, and just include ebooks and audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
Ebooks, up to a point, you can call it reading a book, but audiobooks aren't. You listen to something. So that again is something, to me, is like a negative thing to the entire culture of reading a book.
Okay, but see, I'll tell you one thing. I think the whole dying culture of reading books is it's different for different generations. Because see, I'd like to take my own father for example. For the past 20 years, I've been seeing him. You know, what I've noticed is his reading habit has not declined. In fact, it has increased. And there are a lot of other boomers as well who are doing the same. They haven't stopped reading. I think it's the people from our generation who have stopped reading, stopped picking up a book, and having that joy of sitting next to a window when it's raining, have a hot cup of coffee in your other hand and reading a book and all that.
So this is
Uh-huh.
basically
Yeah,
your yesterday evening.
no.
Um, I'd like to add a point to that. I mean, as I would say, one reason why the book reading culture is dying. I mean, it's exactly like you said. Your dad used to read books, and now it's just increasing. I would say changing technology is one of the main reasons.
Change in
Uh,
technology as in increase in technology.
Yeah, I mean,
Advancement.
back in the day, advancement is basically back in the day, you used to have that small Nokia button phone where people used to walk around. What could you do in that? Nothing much. But then, so you go to a library, you go to a bookstore, you go anywhere to search for information, knowledge, right? But right now, you have a smartphone which can give you everything now, don't you? And
Okay. Uh, yeah, for that, I wouldn't just tell it's about knowledge. I think it has a lot to do with entertainment aspect.
So
Because
yeah,
wait,
I mean,
are you?
okay,
Am
yeah,
I?
go on.
So are you guys? Are you blaming the technology? I mean, are you saying it because the technology has advanced, so the reading culture has reduced? Are you saying that?
it's not
Um,
that blaming. I would say it's one of the major factors. We're not just pinpointing it on technology. If anything, technology is something that's made books more accessible. Yes, provided ebooks and sorry, I meant audiobooks, which I said was a negative. It is still something which is a part of this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so end of the day, you get that entertainment aspect. It benefits the entire industry of literature, but maybe not specifically reading a book. Even ebooks, for that matter, is something which can be considered reading a book. So it's not exactly blaming technology, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, Tom, you were saying something.
So, when you're talking about technology changing it, I meant to say, so I have my sister. She spends most of her time on her iPad or whatever tablet and watching YouTube videos, God knows whatnot, and she hardly reads book or goes through something that doesn't strain herself or something that's more soothing. Like everything's behind technology right now. Like, tell me
So,
how.
so you're saying an iPad is more soothing than a book?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying she chooses something digital more than what's because I think that's how we're brought
Yeah,
up. I mean, the the pace of the world has changed. I would say,
yeah, I
how
completely
many of
agree
us?
because yeah, so I completely agree because I think your sister and my younger brother are almost part of the same generation, and the biggest difference I see from my childhood and his is uh, the best phone in I mean, my childhood was Nokia, something with a fairly larger screen with that one, that rolling cursor in the middle, and the BlackBerry was was the king of phones and all that.
Uh-huh.
If I could spend time playing Brick Breaker, it was I don't know, I had achieved entertainment and all that. But then I felt happier reading books when I was a kid, and yeah, compared to my brother who's always on the iPad or some whatnot.
I think all of us had that phase, in our childhood where we used to, read a lot of books, and then even as we grew up,
Hmm.
everything changed, right? I mean, I used to read book. I used to read a lot of autobiographies. I used to love reading autobiographies when I was smaller. But then, as things change nowadays, I hardly take up a book, to be honest, because like if you don't keep up that habit, sometimes you lose that excitement, that love to, that urge to read.
Completely agree. Okay, so I have another point. Do you think that improper time management can be one of the reasons as to why you know people aren't getting their hands on a book as much as they're getting their hands on any other gadgets or spending time otherwise?
It's wouldn't say it's
Yeah,
about improper
well, you
time
can.
management, because going back to a point which Tom said, it's our lives are more fast paced right now, and to get you have to I mean, there's a process in getting a book. You either need to go to a library, you need to become a member, and then you need to borrow a book, or you go to a store, look through the books, and then buy one. It's with this fast paced life, lethargy also is something that contributes equally to it.
I mean, you can still order a book sitting at home from Amazon, right?
Yeah,
It's
it still takes time for you to get it. You still have to decide which book you want to read, what kind of book. There are multiple
and
genres, there are millions of books.
I think that's a mindset, man, because I feel like, if you want to do something, if you want to read it, I'm sure getting on Amazon and ordering a book wouldn't be much of a task. Okay, anyways, Bala, you said that your reading habit is completely dead, right? So if you would try to start off reading again or, get into the hobby, so would you prefer Kindles or ebooks or, sorry, Kindles and ebooks or, the hard copies?
Oh, any day hard copy books. Books age well, like whiskey.
Uh-huh. Ooh, okay.
Your
Nice,
references are
nice.
going.
Okay, so I'll tell you one thing which I've noticed. I'm sure all the Brown families can relate to. There was a phase when everyone's mom had collections of Sanjeev Kapoor cookbooks, right? And these
Uh-huh.
cookbooks used to range from short snacks to main course, and I like blah blah blah, all of that. And you know what? Those books are catching dust on, I don't know where, in book racks or in some random place of the house. And they have been replaced by these YouTube tutorials of these other
Uh-huh.
aunties on YouTube and other chefs on YouTube showing how to make food. So I mean, is this something that has happened in your place as well, or is it just at my place?
I think it's we can
Um,
apply it to a vast majority of households.
So yeah, but
you know
then yeah, go on. What
how
was
I
saying?
feel. Yeah, so how I feel these, like how YouTube ads and Facebook ads keep working around, right? So, um, I mean, I'm talking in reference to my mom. I think I don't know how many of your moms follow the same thing, but then when you keep surfing on the net, you keep getting these small pop-ups here and these small pop-ups there, and then you check it out, and then you know you get those videos, and then you keep checking it. And I would say it's easier to use a YouTube video, especially because there's audio. You don't have to keep going back and looking at the book, and you're hearing something over and over again, so it kind of registers in your mind. So I would say it's not the best thing, because I mean your books are just going to catch dust, but then it's way people are trying to market their stuff, right? And it's actually getting out a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of tutorials people make on cooking and whatnot, and it actually gets out there. So
Okay, it makes sense.
That is something that
I
helps
mean,
out in other ways also. Say you're making it side by side, you don't have to just pick the book up and read. You can just put it on play, you can just listen to it, maybe put it on pause after that particular instruction or whatever. It's
All right.
easier.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I mean, this is something very random which just came into my mind. So, like, do you guys prefer noting down things on your phone, like, the phone's notes, or do you guys prefer, jotting them down in a pocketbook or using post-its? Like, how do you all work?
um, it depends. I mean, when you meant noting down, do you mean noting down random stuff at a point of time, or is it like something you're listening to, or
I mean, anything you can note down,
I mean, if
something
it's
that comes to your mind, and yeah.
for me, it it kind of works both ways. So if you're talking about something that's immediate and I don't have anything around me to note down, I would use my phone, go to my notes and note it down. But then otherwise, if I have a book and pen near me, I would any day choose a book, pen, and paper, because one thing is, I feel, when you write down stuff, especially with a book, pen, and paper, it's actually registers in your mind more than something like notes. Like like from my childhood, my dad's always told me, if you're not able to learn something, keep writing it. All right, so write it twice or write
Yeah,
it
and then you
thrice. It
remember
registers in your mind.
exactly.
Exactly. So that's been in my head. So if I have something to remember, I would just note it down on a piece of paper. So I actually remember it much better than noting it down on my phone notes. That's what
All
I feel those works.
Bala, what do you do?
Well, half the time I don't take notes, considering the rare occasions when I do. Uh, if I can access my laptop, I'd anyway choose my laptop because it's really something I spend way too much time on, and the notes is always open. So it's a gentle
Okay,
reminder.
guys. Okay. We get it. You're very tech savvy, and guys, Bala designed our logo, and all the tech he's done it, and I think he's done an amazing job. And
Shout
it's
out to
cool.
Bala.
Thank you.
And he's the type of guy who will open his laptop to take down notes. It's okay.
I said if
We
I
don't
can
judge here.
access it. I said if I can access it. If not, I'd probably end up writing it down on my hand, not even a pen and paper. Anyways,
Trust
right,
we
me,
do
all
you
not
probably
take
right.
the.
gonna end up doing.
What about you, though? What do you do, Rajat?
Um, so while I'm at home, I use a lot of post-its because I don't know. So usually, if I note down something in my phone, I tend to forget it. And post-its are like a constant reminder for me because every time I walk into my room, I see it and I remember.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that's what I would do. I prefer post-its any day. But like I said, it's situational. But then if I'm outside, I would note it down on my phone. And the funny thing is, I'll come back home and I'll transfer that to a post-it.
Ah,
Yeah. I mean,
lot of
a lot
effort.
of people do that, especially people who have this thing towards using highlighters and stuff, stuff like that. They use a lot of
Ah.
post-its because it helps them remember a lot of stuff. Um, I mean, looking at Bala, having someone who's tech savvy, who would always have your laptop. Just a question to you. Just a question to you, Bala. What would you do if you didn't have a laptop? If, you know,
I would write it
we
on my
weren't
hand.
like.
That is what I
Okay,
told you.
okay. Tom, you really sound like, like my parents right now. They'll be like, what if you didn't have a phone? I mean, we have the phone, so let's not think about what would happen if we didn't have it. That's a very annoying argument, which I always face in my house.
you know, I mean, so at one point, actually, what Bala says, get being used to typing on a laptop. I feel like that's gonna happen soon because the way our pandemic is affecting our future of education and educational institutions, especially us being sitting at home. I feel like soon we will be taking notes in laptops and digital devices. What do you guys think?
Oh, okay. Nice. I mean, that's oh, wow. I mean, okay, so how long do you think this situation is going to be there, honestly,
Uh, June, July, somewhere there,
Tom?
hopefully.
I mean, to be on the positive side, I wish it ends soon. But looking at reality, I mean, they won't open it until there are no more infections and it stops spreading, right? And that's the main point of the lockdown. So, I mean, keeping positive hopes, hope it ends soon. But
So
then,
give me a month. Give me a
if
month. When do you think it'll all get over?
I feel I putting, being a very positive person, I feel like May it'll just end.
May? Oh,
It should
okay.
end, yeah, May.
See, it's not just
I'm going
gonna
with November.
end.
I mean, not end, but slowly
Uh-huh.
end.
So
Slowly get to
you're
the.
considering all the factors such as when it stops infecting new people, almost everyone's vaccinated, and all of that.
So
No, bro,
basically,
I
I
said
mean,
May
by
because
November.
my birthday is on May.
No. I asked Rajat because you were not realistic. You were
Okay.
positive. There's a difference.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, I almost thought you weren't, I was not being talked to, but okay, cool. Uh, Happy to know you like my opinion, Bala. So I would say, by November, we'll all be, back to our normal routine. That's what I think.
Anyway, let's
But
get back to my question. What do you think? Where are we going? Education wise.
hmm,
I mean, not something we can pry on. We're still in the university level, but then, um,
but
especially
see, I
seeing
think.
how colleges are actually starting online classes for a lot of people. Where do you
Mhm.
think our educational system lies in the future, especially at times like this?
See, I think the pandemic has a very big chance or potential of changing the education system. See, I'll tell you, I think it'll change the education system in two ways. One is the whole fee structure. Two, the frequency of the students attending classes in person. So, like, how
All
often
right.
they'll attend classes in person. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what I think.
Again, that
Because
applies to the field. uh, I can't study hotel management or MBBS and not be physically present, because there are multiple things which require
Yes.
you to be physically present for you to know, for you to learn, for you to understand. You need that hands-on experience. But other than that, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, I see. The biggest thing about the fee structure, why I mentioned that is a lot of universities charge quite a bit for the degrees, and the price is always on the higher side, right? And if the classes are going to be reduced to just online classes and all that, I wouldn't feel that the universities themselves will feel right to charge the same amount they were charging before. So,
Uh-huh.
what do you guys think about that? I mean, am I making sense or?
I mean, so when it comes to a university's fee structure, I would say it's a lot of things to put in. All right.
Mhm.
Um, there are a lot of factors depending on your course. If it's practical wise, if it's not practical, if it's more of theory, all stuff like that. So, um, fee structures obviously yes, it will get affected. If you're just gonna sit at home and online classes, you rather do homeschooling, right? Just like you guys did people have options to do homeschooling for your till 12th grade. I think that's what people would opt for in university level if it was possible. But then I feel like that's what's gonna happen if this keeps going on. We're just gonna be sitting in our home and getting our degree,
But if you
right?
have the
And
option to, choose between homeschooling, sorry, no, not homeschooling, but taking classes from home versus attending the university, what would you pick?
I would say attending university,
Yeah, I'd
especially one
probably
reason
pick
because
it.
I mean, even though we all go to have fun, I think one of the most important reasons is, you know, the discipline one inculcates in a class is much different than in a room. Because if
True.
I'm sitting in a laptop in behind a screen, the teacher wouldn't know what I would be doing. I could just mute the entire thing and just do whatever I want to do. And that seriousness wouldn't be there for someone unless you're
And a lot of unwanted things might be heard, and who wants that?
exactly. I don't know where you're going with that, but then all right. I think people
Yeah,
will find their own time for that.
all right. But I also think that if I'm physically present in the same room as the teacher, I think I can take the teacher more seriously then, as to when they are on a video call with me or something.
Exactly.
Oh, that
Bala,
makes a
what do you
lot more
think?
sense. I mean, yeah, I would actually pick going to the university instead of taking class online, because if anything, I've understood what lack of social interaction can do, and this is not fun. So I'd rather prefer
Uh-huh.
sitting in between 60 people and listening in class, trying to listen in class, than
Mhm.
sit at home and not at all listen.
I have one. I don't know if I have a doubt. Okay, so do you think as the whole university is reduced to online classes, do you think there'll be a new wave of these online coaching? There are these learning apps, right? I don't want to take any names, but these learning online coaching classes, do you think there'll be a new wave of them, and you like more of them will rise up, and they'll be like there'll be like a competition to the existing universities already?
Um, I my point towards this is, I mean, an online class is can help you. I would say it's just additional knowledge, but they can't give you that degree you need. Now, can you? You'll have to go to university or college for it.
Yeah, even if
Um,
they can, I don't really. I mean, it is not. It's not that I don't think it's not legally possible. Uh, so there's a lot more thing that will go into it. Um, the government has to take a call. They have to make decisions, and then there'll be a set of rules and regulations. So I don't think even if it happens in the future, it wouldn't be a follow up to the immediately after the pandemic. There might be just
Okay.
more coaching classes. There might be more
But
websites and apps or something like that, but not as a system which falls under the
see,
um,
I'll tell you why I think there'll be a rise in all these online coaching classes because it's a very good business opportunity. If you think about it, you're offering the same thing at a cheaper price, the same thing the university is offering at a cheaper price. Yeah, the only issue is maybe the degree thing won't be the same, but you'll get, if they offer to say give you better coaching or all that, because there are people who are doing say BCom and they're pursuing the CA and all that. They do attend other coaching classes, right? CA coaching classes and all that.
yeah,
um,
they do.
you know, exactly. I mean, they do attend other coaching classes, but then I, personally saying, I have attended coaching classes. I'm not going to pick out which one, but then it would, it was back in 11th and 12th. You're talking about that time, so um, it helps you, but then I wouldn't say it is equivalent to getting a degree because especially companies. I mean, I think we all know that companies look out for that one piece of paper that says you have qualified so and so, and this is your degree, right?
The sad state
No
of
matter
affairs.
no, I mean no matter how open you be, I mean that's how the world's running, right? You need that piece of paper that says you have passed this degree, right? And coaching class
Hmm.
cannot give you that. I mean, it can give you knowledge. Maybe it can give you much better knowledge than any university or college, but then it doesn't give you that form of, what do you say?
Recognition.
Um, yeah, that exactly that recognition. Maybe you can freelance. Obviously, you might get a lot of cash
Hmm.
freelancing. But then, safe secure job? I don't think so.
So
Yeah,
even if that
agreed.
it becomes a system, there's a long way for it. It'll take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot things to change, and I don't think so. We should get politically and get involved with the government affairs, especially because that's a lot what will matter to actually change this. And
Correct.
hopefully,
Yeah,
it's
let's
just
not get into that.
temporary.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's just a temporary period.
Okay, so moving on. Today we actually have a change. It's not a moral dilemma, it's an ethical dilemma.
All right,
Okay,
shoot.
it's a
Let's
dilemma.
see.
End of the day. So basically, um, as of now, there are the few food tech companies which are still delivering food to your houses,
Yeah.
and this comes from multiple food outlets, and they have their employees on the street. You get food from outside. You don't know how it is or anything like that. So the thing here is it required? That is what I want to ask. And also, before you start answering, I'll actually establish a few statistics which would help you probably decide. So
All
one
right.
thing is the first week of March, as soon as the work from home and the unofficial lockdown and self quarantining started, it spiked. So also, just putting it out there, none of these are official comments by any of the companies. They are just figures which have been roughly calculated. So there was
All
a
right. No
spike
worries.
in the sales, and then the second and third week there was around 10 to 20% drop. This happened in March. So this was gradual decrease. At this point, it's expected to be somewhere around 40 to 50, around 35 to 40% less than usual. So in your opinion, is it right to order at this point in time?
um, See, this question should, I don't know, this okay, the question, I don't think what you're asking is correct. Now, this question applies differently for different people. For example, so the three of us, we are living at home with our parents, and we have the means of making food at home. So for us, I would think it's not a good idea to order. But then there are people who are living in PGs, they're living in hostels, they're living in rooms where they do not have the means to, cook food, or they don't know how to cook food or something. For them, ordering food would help a lot.
What I would say is, in the looking at the aspect Rajat said, yeah, it is a good thing. But then my question is, even though they say it's contact free food, and I think that's what everyone's putting it up. Every company that is delivering right now says they have contact free food. I'm not pinpointing any company, but all the companies say so. But then especially when we are so busy checking out for quarantine and checking out for people who are infected, who's actually checking the hygiene of the places that they're actually making the food? I'm not saying that they don't have hygiene, they're obviously hygienic, but then it's a virus that is you know can be present airborne and can move through objects, solid objects, and can be it can be found in objects for quite a few hours. So I mean, do we have to take that risk? Is what I'm trying to say.
See,
Is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, see, I'm not asking us to take a risk. See, this is what exactly, I mean, this is what I exactly meant. See, the three of us and people like us who are living at home and who have means of making food, we need not take that risk. But then there are people who have, no other means to do it, no other means to cook. So they have to rely on, these food
Uh-huh.
tech companies to deliver food, and they don't have an option but to take that risk. It's not because they want to take a risk, it's because they have no other option. And
Uh-huh.
there are some places where people are handing out food packets and other food cartons and all that, and that's fine, that's a good thing. And see, what I can say is these food tech companies should take even more extensive care and precaution. Like, for example, in a delivery guy's bike, you keep sanitizer and give him enough sanitizer so he uses it whenever required, and so
Yeah,
that
if
he.
anything, the people who are on the street who are actually delivering are at very high risk compared to
but
somebody who's ordering the food.
but can you blame them? I mean, it's their livelihood, right? They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Can I bring in a point which might be kind of out of topic? Not out of topic. It's related to this.
Yeah, sure.
Because of this curfew, a lot of restaurants have shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of these restaurants that are still running are in the fast food chain, and a lot of other fast food chains have been shut. And do you think this can be seen as unfair competition?
Ooh.
I mean, that's so
Mm,
because I mean, I feel like
See, yeah, actually, I like your question. See, the thing is, all these fast food companies are owned by big MNCs, and I think they have enough money to sustain themselves without getting any business for a few months. Versus the
exactly.
standalone restaurants, I do not. Yeah, yeah, what you said makes a lot of sense.
And
I
I
do
it's
think
it's
mean,
it's quite an extremely bad thing that the standalone restaurants or something like that is hit the most, mainly because a lot of them do not have too many funds to come back, maybe take the hit and sustain, which becomes very questionable for a lot of people's livelihoods. I think the ones that should be operating are the ones which would not be able to survive if they shut down for that long, and something like a MNC company should probably be the first one to shut.
no, but if you notice, the ones which are at least the vast majority of the food outlets that are still, delivering food,
Hmm.
they are all MNCs. I mean, most of them are MNCs.
Yeah, that is
mhm.
what I was telling. I say what I'm
So
trying to tell is it would have been better if it was the other way around.
yeah, but see, there's another flip side to this. Like you said, fast food, easier to prepare, faster to prepare, and faster deliveries. Unless
Yeah, I
the
got you.
standalone restaurants, they change their entire menu and all that. And we know how troublesome that is, revamping your entire menu and cooking something you're
Exactly.
not used to. So what, see, I think we can find a middle ground where these standalone restaurants can, prepare something you can do in bulk, like, biryani and all those rice stuff, and, maybe give it to, see, I'm not saying give it as charity because I'm not sure how long they can afford to do it. So maybe have a contract with the MNCs and join hands. Now is the time you make such. those connections
Yeah.
and
That actually reminds
collaborations.
me to get back to something because remember I gave you the stats.
Mm-hmm.
So considering it's almost 40% or something, I think which we've already addressed is something which I had about how will the food tech companies and the tied up restaurants and all of them survive. So since we've already addressed it, I'll be moving on. Um, how do you think they'll come back after the pandemic? What would be the
The standalones.
effect? Yeah, the standalones.
Mm, I think their biggest challenge is the whole revenue model, the revenue system.
Uh-huh.
I think that's their biggest challenge. And see, I'll tell you one more thing. From the consumer's point of view, how fast will you start trusting these food outlets, and how fast will you go out and start eating? Because trust me, even
Uh-huh.
after say the lockdown ends by May end or June end, I don't think I would go out and eat at least till December, because I'm shit scared. Because I'm not going to take that chance. There was this
Exactly.
meme which I saw on Instagram which said, after the whole pandemic is supposedly ended, I'm going to wait for some people to go out and eat, and based on what happens to them, then I'll go. That's something which I would do.
Uh-huh.
So I think that is their biggest challenge, getting people to trust them again. And mind you, the restaurants which people would go to knowing that their hygiene standards are not so high, but would just go for the taste, I think it's game over for them. Because right now people
Uh,
don't give a shit about the taste. They want hygiene, they want safety. So that's what I have to say.
So what you're telling is even after the pandemic, um, the hygiene standards is something which people would start caring more about in the
Oh
coming
yeah,
years.
totally. And
I
I
feel
feel
that's
that if people,
not indirectly, directly good for the industry because people will start maintaining hygiene standards more
higher
aggressively
hygiene
than before.
standards, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, more aggressively than before. And this is something which would benefit the customer also at the end of the day.
I
Yeah,
would say
exactly.
it has its pros and cons to it, to be honest. According to the Association of National Restaurants Association of India, they're looking at losses to up to 70 to 80,000 crores in 2020. All right. And that is a lot, especially considering foods and services is one of the most vast industries in our country. And just because of this virus, they've already sacked 1.5 million people from their jobs from restaurants because of all the shutdown work. I mean,
But
getting back
yeah.
getting back from that unemployment rate would be a big thing because the number of I mean, think about, okay, maybe all these upscale restaurants who can actually survive the hit may be surviving, but then what about these small scale restaurants who can't survive the downfall in business? All the people who are working there won't be able to get jobs ever again. I mean, not ever again for a long period of time. So getting back from that unemployment, looking at it at a bigger scale, getting back from that unemployment rate is a really big thing.
See, I will have to slightly disagree with that unemployment thing, because what I feel is, um, you know, the hotel industry, the food industry, I think it's that one industry which cannot be hit with recession, because people don't stop eating. And if people don't
Mhm.
stop eating, there will be a need of people who need to make food for the people who don't stop eating. So, which means there might be a very, very temporary period, like maybe say a month or two, where the employment rates go down. But then I'm very sure that that won't sustain for a long time,
Uh-huh.
because the demand is always going to be there.
Yeah, because regardless of the economic conditions, say it's flourishing or it's horrible, you will have to eat to survive. Maybe what you eat like changes, but the food industry as such will survive through anything as long as humans exist.
Hmm.
So, do you think, all these, what, I mean, it's just a thought, all right. Few of these restaurants could have actually collabed with a few food tech companies to actually make their losses reduce. Is it
That actually
possible?
reminds
Would
me
you
of
think that?
something. there are multiple companies which have collabed with the food tech companies which send ingredients home at this point, as in you can order ingredients. um,
Uh-huh.
so these essential products, there is Amul, which has joined hands with multiple food tech companies, which is delivering it, which is using these food tech companies and their chains and their employees as distributors.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there, because I mean, especially I think in the starting of the quarantine, especially when people started boarding the place and they started increasing the quarantine rules and people started actually, you know, barring people from getting out. I think that's when these guys started collabing and it actually helped a lot. I mean, a lot of people were able to get stuff. Because some places, I mean, especially in my area, they ask you for a pass that is given out by the Bangalore City Police to actually go to places. So it is one actually a good thing that they started off that could help a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think the police are doing an amazing job, and kudos to them and all that. And yeah, guys, it was quite an episode today, and thank you all for your inputs. And yeah, as
Can I
always,
put a drum roll again?
yeah, go for it, please.
Can I interrupt you again?
People, oh, you're trying to be funny again?
Bro, that's his quarantine thing. He's trying to learn how to be funny. Let him be.
All right, guys. Like, share, follow. You can't really subscribe on Spotify, but yeah, follow and
Subscribe
yeah,
on
thank you
YouTube.
so much, guys. Subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Light
Ta-ta.
up, sketchers.